The Congress of South African Trade Unions has described Sanral's decision as a partial victory for Gauteng motorists and workers. But the union says it's not celebrating as yet. Cosatu's first deputy president, Michael Shingange, joins me now in studio. Thank you for giving up some of your Sunday afternoon, Mr. Shingange. So, isn't this nothing more than an election ploy if Sanral is only suspending this process of issuing summonses to recoup debt for now?
Well, good afternoon, Nicholas. Well, we don't know if it's electionary. All we know is that we have been fighting against the e-toll since its inception as a federation. Now, any decision that points towards relieving the working class and the poor and the motorists in Gauteng and everywhere in the country is a decision that will be welcomed by ourselves. We don't know if a majority of South Africans, and most of whom are actually voters, have said they don't want e-toll. So if government listens to the electorate, what's wrong with that? Even if it is electionary. The fact is the voters of this country have shown over and over again that they don't support e-toll. The workers, those who pay, they've shown that they don't support e-toll. So even if they will be accused of electioneering, wouldn't that be listening to the voters?
Well, Mr. Shingange, with respect, surely if e-tolls were going to be scrapped at some point, they would be by now. The Cosatu has led, they've spearheaded, in fact, the fight against e-tolls. I remember attending marches that were held by Cosatu in 2011 and 2012, deemed to be the biggest in our democratic history, calling for the scrapping of e-tolls. We're now almost a decade down the line.
Yes.
Surely, do you not think at some point this becomes like screaming against a brick wall with no change?
We don't think so. We don't think the Sanral board arrived at a decision to suspend it because they felt a spirit of goodwill. They just wanted to give South Africans a bonus. I think they do so because they are feeling the pressure. They do so that because every right-thinking South Africans have been campaigning against e-toll. It is our belief that the government is looking into alternatives in terms of paying the road infrastructure in the country. So we think that as and when they find solutions, perhaps the decision to suspend is the right thing. That's why we're saying we're not celebrating as yet, because ultimately what we're looking for is the total scrapping of the e-toll.
Will you be surprised if this matter is still being discussed come the 2021 local government elections and possibly is even being discussed in 2024?
We don't want it to reach that point, but if it is, we will still be here, we will still be discussing, we will still be campaigning against it. Remember that some victories, some battles take longer to achieve victories, others take shorter. This is one of them. I mean, whoever thought that the Sanral itself will even take a decision to abandon collecting or issuing summons? That is not an easy decision to arrive at, but I think, like I said, because of our campaigns and everybody else who have been campaigning, they had to come to this decision. So if it takes ever long to resolve this matter, we will still be here, we will still campaign, we will still insist that the e-toll must be scrapped.
So, Mr. Shingange, what about the debt that's been incurred to improve the freeways? I mean, I don't know if you're a commuter, I'm a commuter. You have to admit that the roads around Gauteng, the freeway, has eased congestion and is a vital part of expanding infrastructure. It costs money at the end of the day, though, so how should we pay?
Well, it does. That is why we're saying we're welcoming the fact that the government is looking at alternatives. We believe that within their wisdom, they are going to find ways and means of making sure that they pay the debt that has been incurred, a debt that should not have been incurred in the first place had this matter been taught properly. Our view is that the South Africans are already paying too high. They are already paying a fuel levy that can be utilized, are already paying high petrol prices, are already paying a VAT that has increased now, a lot of tax. So our view is that within the coffers of government, a mechanism can be found to finance.
What is Cosatu's suggestion, though? It's one thing to say you applaud government looking at alternatives, but if it was Cosatu's choice, how would you pay for the roads?
We've made a point before that we think they must look at a fuel levy to finance the e-toll.
The fuel levy, with fuel already being so high, I mean, there's another fuel price increase coming this week.
Yes, we've already said they must look into that. There are many other alternatives, including increasing the corporate tax that they've reduced in the past. You must remember that people who are actually beneficiaries of these tolls are the business people who are actually raking in a lot of profits. But the working class, they're suffering because they're paying every day to go to work, but they're not getting any profit. This government, as they reduce the corporate tax from 34% to 28%, but the corporate are not playing their part in terms of improving the infrastructure of roads and the transport in general, but also the economy of this country.
What about the argument that governments put forward before that this severely affects government's financial stability and could, moves like this along with other headwinds could result in the South African government going bankrupt?
We don't think our government should be one-dimensional when they're looking at the fiscals of the country. I mean, there are many other areas that we think can hamper the government fiscals. This is just 3 billion. But I'm sure every day you read on how many billions they get wasted down the drain. Surely if we stop that, if we stop the wastage that goes about billions and billions every year that goes in terms of provincial and local government budgets, if we just stop that, we don't even have to increase tax. We have enough money to finance these infrastructures. So the issue is that we can't be one-dimensional. We can't only say if you want to keep the finance of the country safe, we have to force people to pay even triple tax by paying it all.
The election is less than 40 days away. Is Cosatu still fully behind the ANC at a national and provincial level here in Gauteng?
In fact, they have disrupted my program. I was on the election campaign now. As I'm coming here, we are on the road. We are campaigning for the ANC. We want the ANC to achieve an overwhelming victory in these coming elections. So we are behind the African National Congress.
Well, we wait to see whether or not e-tolls plays a role in that. That was Cosatu's first deputy president, Mike Shingange.